Great start there. Hi everyone and welcome to the What the Fuck Show. I'm Jen from Jen's Little Corner. I'm not feeling 100% at the moment, so I'm going to let Will take over.
I am Godless from the Godless. How's everybody doing today? With us today, as always, we have, because we're in an echo chamber, we have Dog. How are you doing, Dog?
Yeah, fuck off.
Purple, how are you today?
Okay.
Awesome. Kate, how are you today?
Well, I've definitely been worse.
I agree. Could always be worse. Kitty, how are you today?
I'm tired. It's been a long day. But it's a good thing that you're like the Energizer Bunny on speed. So like literally you got enough to keep it going for the rest of us.
Yeah, you can carry it.
Pepsi and pot, killer combination.
Like, can I just bottle your energy and mainline that shit? I definitely need a bit of that.
Now I'm feeling some peer pressure to get my own vape out.
Hold on. So today we're talking about how the left has become radicalized, or maybe in the information era we just notice it more. One of the reasons the title is Three Lefts Make a Right, because in real life, if you make a left 3 times, you have gone right.
Oh, you've pranked into something.
So my question is, how I feel that the left has gone, way beyond what is considered what used to be the left. But we can say the same thing about the right. And warning, I'm playing devil's advocate today. And I'm wearing a Mitt Romney t-shirt, so send all your angry DMs to Jen, because I will ignore you.
What?
I'm kidding. Somebody under the bus there.
Well, I gotta kick this off by saying that's freaking loopy.
Good luck, Jen.
The left is further to the right than it's ever been, frankly.
I agree with you.
But that's not what you said. Maybe I misunderstood.
I feel like they've come full circle where the right and the left are 2 sides of the same coin.
Well, no, like in our current political system, like in Congress right now, for the most part, the only thing that the left and the right share in common is their corporate bias and the fact that they're bought and paid for by corporations. As far as policy issues, the Overton window has been so far shifted to the right by Fox News propaganda and the channels that have come since that are even worse than Fox News, that when you actually poll issue by issue, avoiding key buzzwords, the American people actually agree with Bernie Sanders. Like, issue by issue, they believe in a $15 minimum wage, or at the very least a living wage, paid time off, family leave, universal health care polled at some 70%. Like, when you actually, depending on how you phrased it, if you said in the most uncharitable way, like a complete, government takeover of healthcare, then that polled less than a, single payer system, or basically where everybody is covered under Medicare for all. That's one that polled some of the best. So a lot of it comes down to the framing of issues and the rah-rah partisan, like it's become like fucking football teams or hockey teams or insert random sport team here, where you just root for your side and you don't call them out when they're bad, you circle the wagons, and you don't listen to ideas from the opposing side because, there's so much poisoning at the well.
Division. That's what it is. America's so divided, it doesn't know where it's going.
And that's by design. Cut funding to education, don't get people actively engaged in politics, and then the robber barons and the rich and the corporations can fuck us all over while we're busy squabbling over culture war bullshit.
I agree with you.
Part of the problem really is that most people who vote don't actually look at policy. They just go, I'm a conservative, or I'm a liberal person, and I'm going to vote down my party line, and I'm to hell with what anybody actually says they're going to be doing. And to
Yeah,
hell
that
with
was
my
very
neighbours, to
not
hell with
me.
anyone else. Sorry, what was that? Okay.
I said that was very not me. I don't vote that way.
No, neither do
very
I,
vote
but a
on
lot of
policy.
people do. I know a lot of people
I
who
know.
do it all the time, and they
I'm
don't.
just saying I'm better than they are. That's all I'm
Oh yeah. Well, anyone who actually looks at policies. I mean, I used to consider myself a swinging voter. I would vote with the party that had the policies that I thought was best for not just me personally, but for the country as a whole. I've changed a lot since then because I just cannot agree with some of the directions that conservative politics goes for. So I in all consciousness, for the betterment of my country, cannot vote conservative because some of the social policies they want just are way against what I would want in my country. And that's a problem. And even our Liberal Party is not as bad as your Republican Party. They still have some policies that I'm like, fuck off. Just don't do that. So
our Republican Party has become a party that wants to control people's lives and bodies. And they've been trying for years and years, but now they're much more overt about it. And I'm going off about the right, but as people who say they want to leave kids alone, they're going after trans kids, they're going after school programs, lunch programs, anything that they can touch.
Yeah, the Republican Party wants to control every aspect of people's lives, and most of the people who vote Republican will claim they're for smaller government.
Which I never understand.
Well, I mean, I understand it to a certain degree because they're thinking less about the common good and more about, like, the market. They have a much more capitalistic view of the world than anyone who actually has compassion.
So I actually do that. Locally, I will vote more conservative because I am part of people that are property owners. When it comes to national elections, I vote almost down the board.
Well, I don't know. I have a difficult time looking at people getting, like, seriously the shortest end of the stick possible and doing nothing. I couldn't possibly. I mean, it can be characterized as culture war, but it is kind of important. It does have a material impact on people's lives.
I work for a nonprofit that helps, that works with special needs adults, houses special needs adults, and we also have a program that goes out and helps homeless youth in general. So as a capitalist, I feel less guilty because I'm trying to, like, actually help society than as somebody who literally, like, owns a tire factory that burns tires and destroys the environment. There has to be a distinction somewhere, because sometimes we'll say, oh, this person's conservative, but that's just because of land rights or they're making money or something, but they're not necessarily against progressive policies at all.
Okay, but if they're voting against progressive politicians who will back progressive policies because all they care about is one issue, I mean, isn't that a bit of a problem?
Oh, I agree with you. I'm not saying we're not completely effed. I agree with you. Like, something needs to be done because, like we always say, the gap is getting wider and wider in America.
Yeah.
Where, the haves are having way more and the have-nots are it's becoming way less.
Yeah.
And as somebody who works with people on the streets, it seems like every day there's like 100 new homeless people on the streets of Los Angeles. It's depressing. Sorry to completely
every country will have that sort of divide. Some will support the right, some will support the left. The middle ground is where people fail in America. A lot of countries they just get on with it and crack on. But America, I blame Trumpism. That is a thing now, Trumpism. And he's getting back into politics in a big way. Let's just hope he goes to jail soon.
The thing is, predates Trump.
Yeah, absolutely, Kitty. It does predate Trump. There's always a right and a left part of every country in the world. Some will depose good. Some will depose evil or bad in any political stance. But at the end of the day, we've all got to get along.
I agree.
So,
Yeah.
so whether you agree and crack on together, or you want to go to war with each other, then this is why civil wars crack up. This is why civil wars happen, because people.
Well, what are
America's
you
too
supposed to do? I mean, if you've got people who cannot agree on an issue, and it is like you can't bargain, you can't have half of gay marriage, for example. That's just not possible. So when you reach something where one side has to win and the other side has to lose, there is no in between. What do you do?
Yeah.
Well, the problem with America is that it's 80% Christian. And
I'm just going to mute you for a second, Dog. I'm wondering if you're what type of device are you using? Is it an iPhone?
It's still
it's a Motorola.
Motorola.
Top of the range, of course.
Try it without your headphones. You might find the noise cancellation in the phone is better than what the headphones are doing.
So Trump was born because people were disenfranchised.
How is that?
worse.
Yeah, it's not better.
I'm going to put my earbuds in.
Okay. Trump was born from people who were disenfranchised and felt that they should be in charge just because of who they were.
Yeah.
Though we already had a Republican Party, but once Trump latched his dumpster onto it, all of those disgusting people came with him.
And it's not the Republican Party it was before. Sorry.
Blatant now.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Especially like in Texas right now, it is what you have to. You get 10 grand if you report somebody who's looking for contraceptive. Am I wrong, Kitty? Am I misquoting?
Well, somebody who's attempting an abortion.
Yeah, no, it's an abortion.
That's insane.
And get this. Now, in the United States, Supreme Court has, affirmed that you have a First Amendment free speech right to desecrate the American flag. Now, whether a person likes that or not, it is part of your First Amendment right to be able to destroy that flag. In Utah, a 19-year-old girl is facing hate crimes charges for stomping on a Back the Blue sign. Because the cops said she basically because cops are now protected for hate crimes there, and she was looking at them menacingly while she stomped on the sign. A 19-year-old kid who can't even own a fucking firearm, and these fucking locked and loaded, Rambo cops, and they're scared of a 19-year-old kid. But she's facing up to a year in prison right now.
A year?
Wow.
Stomping on a Blue Lives Matter or Back the Blue sign.
And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to have this conversation, because as a semi-lefty, we cannot become as fear-filled as the right.
Don't say semi like that.
Well, I am at a semi. I'm only at a semi right now. My whole point is, I lost it. It's always a sex joke. What's happening in a lot of these places is that people are scared of their own shadows. I see it every day when people see me, and all of a sudden they don't know what to do because they watch too much damn television. People in general are scared of each other. Propaganda is working, and at least in America.
Well,
and big disclaimer.
Not just fear of each other, though. I mean, I had so many arguments with people during the last election where they would shut down the conversation 100%, if I started like making sense for why maybe they shouldn't vote for Joe Biden, maybe they should be voting for a more progressive candidate, they would then go, yeah, but Trump though. The only thing that matters is getting rid of Trump. He's 100% of the problem. We have to get rid of Trump. That's the only thing that matters. And I even had conversations with people who said that like a resurrected Hitler, they would vote for that over Trump.
What?
I'm just like, yes, I'm not even kidding. Like more than one person has said that to me. And I'm just like, wow, my own side. I don't want them on my side.
Right up to the Hitler comment, I'm one of the people you were arguing against about Biden. And I never, I think you're using a blanket statement there and mischaracterizing that no one ever said Trump was 100% of the problem. I just wanted to put that in.
I'm not going to say, no.
It
is at least one person who said that Trump is 100% of the problem. And definitely, I'm pretty sure more. A lot of people said, basically, if we get rid of Trump, it'll be a freaking utopia. I mean, it's seriously like that is the level of anti-Trumpism I saw. And it was really getting in the way of trying to get progressive shit passed.
But that goes to show that people would rather put a face on what they consider evil than see that there's a whole structure behind Trump.
Exactly.
Okay, but I mean, the left isn't a monolith. And, it still does seem like you're kind of blanketing because I was anyone but Trump. Now, Bernie was my guy, and I supported him in the primary. But when it came down to the general, I mean, look at how relatively close the general election was. Trump could have won again. And I feel like he was an existential threat to our democracy. And he proved that on January 6th when he tried to do a diet coup, essentially.
Yeah, but the problem with it, there's a huge problem with that, which is that there's plenty of studies out there saying that if not for COVID, Trump would have won over Biden. That his bungling of COVID is what lost him the race ultimately. And multiple studies have shown that. So if we had chosen a candidate like Joe Biden, we would have lost. We needed someone, what we needed was a dreamer with attitude, not someone who was going to give us just the status quo. We don't have time for a 4-year palate cleanser.
And to anyone that's Californian and a person of color and that has eyes, I'm going to say something controversial. Kamala Harris is Trump. She actively went after black trans women. Look it up.
Kamala Harris is a bitch.
She was more conservative. Hold on. Kamala Harris is more conservative than Trump. That's why people from California were like, huh? What? So we're like, if we're all on the same boat going down the same stream that's about to fall off a cliff, arguing about which direction we want to turn around,
This is why primaries are so important. You need to go out and vote in the primary. Like, I voted for Bernie in the primary, but when it came down to the general election, there was no way I was going to, I don't want to say throw my vote away because everybody should have the right to vote however they choose. But to me, I felt like it was throwing my vote away if I voted for a third-party candidate because I knew the race was going to be close. And Biden was going to need, his milquetoast ass was going to need every single fucking vote he could possibly get in the hopes of getting rid of the tangerine terror.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is that once again, we've enabled the establishment Democrats. Once again, we've told them, yes, you can get what you want from us, and it's that easy to do. And I'm sick and tired of it. I mean, nothing will ever change until we start taking risks. Nothing will ever get better.
I agree.
Until we start saying, I won't be scared anymore. I'm going to do what's necessary because, if I don't, who will?
To be fair, Kate, nothing will change until your political system changes.
Believe me, I tried.
I mean, your whole electoral system with the electoral college, which is biased up the hot wazoo, is fucked up. It really needs an overhaul.
It was a compromise with slave states because black people didn't count as a full person. That's why we have the electoral college.
Yeah, and it needs to go. It really does need to fucking go. You need to have one vote, one value. Or as close as you can get to one vote, one value.
Hold on, I'm too busy agreeing with Brandon Worrell in the chat.
Honestly, the Republicans would never go for that because they know by the numbers they would never win another election.
No, they wouldn't, because California would outvote them every time. Just the state of California.
Yeah. Well, what do you think's happening now that the Republicans have stated on the record, basically, that if they do not suppress the vote in Texas, they will never win a federal election again?
Because they know they're not going to win a federal election again.
You know, and the whole business about them saying now that all of the Democratic representatives are going to be arrested as soon as they return from Texas because they're doing the same thing that Cruz did.
Or the same thing McConnell did, essentially, just letting, bills go sit in his graveyard and refusing to vote on them.
Yeah.
Well, like they did with the Supreme Court when Obama was president, where it just said, "No, we're not even going to have a vote."
Yeah.
It's shitty. It's, rules for thee, not for me. You want to obstruct, go for it. But, or I should say, we can obstruct, you're not allowed to.
Yeah, personally, I am applauding the Texas representatives that they're finally using one of the tactics that the Republicans have been using against them for the past 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
Oh, and don't even get me started on that nonsense. Every time I try to explain to people that the game has changed and we have to adopt the tactics of the right to achieve left-wing goals, they look at me like I've grown 3 heads and all of them have runny noses. They just can't seem to fathom the idea of playing dirty.
So
okay, so this brings us back to the topic.
Don't feel bad. People, hold on real quick. People hate me for that because I am a lefty, but I am like heartless towards righties in that sense. Like
let's talk on my own show.
Remember, you have the power to mute them.
Yes, I as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I just say from my echo chamber, there's no such thing as a honest politician.
Billy Connolly famously said that the desire to be a politician should value from life from ever being one, and I think he was right.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I don't know how to get any of the things done that I think need doing without being a politician or without having just oodles of money. So, what else is there to do? You know what I mean? Not that I would ever get into politics. I could never get elected. I know that. But even so, how else do you get that change that needs to happen?
I'm involved
Marjorie
in
Green could get elected, or Lauren Boebert, you could get elected.
Just
saying.
Or you need to become insanely famous because the celebrity factor drives a lot.
True.
That is crazy. What is it in Texas, I think, where Matthew McConaughey is leading the pack for governor or some shit?
Yeah, but I mean, if you're famous, you don't actually have to run for office. You can have a lot of sway just by publicly announcing which candidate you back.
Yeah, tell that to, what was it, Kanye West or one of the dudes who was just absolutely fucking insane?
Well, Kanye West is
insane.
Completely batshit crazy. Kanye West is more of a cry for mental health than anything else.
Yeah.
I
think we can all agree on that one.
Well, Kanye West exposes that in this country, we spend more money on war and less on people. We need help. Everybody should have a psychiatrist. Every kid should have an IEP.
Kanye's got the money for it. He's not some inner city kid. Kanye's got the money. He just doesn't have the desire, and you can't help those that won't help themselves,
I do agree that we need to get out of all those wars and just size down the military big time. I mean, so much of the money we've wasted on these wars of aggression we've been doing in the Middle East, It could be used for things like universal health care and free college.
Well, we did finally abandon Afghanistan.
True.
And
let's see if it happens in earnest.
We abandoned it. We didn't do anything to improve it.
Yes, Jen. Yes.
Thank you.
On your own show.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've seen a lot of conservatives complain recently about the amount of money that that US spends on NASA. And my instant response to that is, you spend a lot more fucking money on war and none of you bastards are complaining about that. So I would rather the money was pulled out of the military and spent on NASA to do space exploration.
But believe me, I spent my childhood just like starry-eyed, fascinated by like space shuttles and stuff. And when they started scaling NASA way the hell down after Challenger, I was like so disappointed. We are so much further behind in space travel than I thought we'd be by the time I was this old.
Well, after Challenger, there was it was called the relaunch program. I have a patch. It literally says America's Pride, and it's a space shuttle. They tried, and nobody, like the American people, kind of didn't care. People stopped watching it. My pops worked for NASA after, during and before and after Challenger. People stopped caring.
Again, with the conservative hypocrisy, and especially the Trump people, they're like, why are we spending money on NASA, but rah, we need Space Force?
Yeah.
Isn't it the same fucking thing?
Yeah. We need our guns, and we need to fund our military, and we need to have all these tanks and nuclear missiles, but we can't have a rocket that goes into space to service a fucking telescope.
Let's not pay for a ship that'll get us up to the International Space Station, but let's pay for a ship that will put missiles out in space to shoot down the space station.
Well, even better, let's get to the International Space Station using Russian rockets built in the 60s.
I'm hoping this is all plausible deniability and the Stargate is real. And the Space Force will be there. I'm hoping all plausible.
The only reason I would run for president is access to Area 51. I want to see the UFOs.
Same.
Damn it.
I would, on my first day, I would be like, where I want to go. Take me right now.
Yeah.
I would literally be inaugurated. My limo would go to the airport.
And I really think that if you got into Area 51, the most exciting thing you would find is a prototype of the U-2 spy plane.
Probably.
I listened to a lot of U2. I don't remember them having a spy plane in any of the lyrics.
I want that hover UFO thing.
Can I say that religion has suppressed science by at least 200 years?
Agreed.
Well, more if you think about Alexandria.
I was going to say, isn't that pretty much what they've been doing ever since the Renaissance?
Yeah, exactly. And they're doing it right now.
They've been holding the coattails of the scientists and dragging their heels, slowing them down.
It's so weird, too, because, even when you present them with good arguments for why the science we're doing might be their God's will and maybe they should play along, they refuse to play along. It's pretty clear that they're cramming God into this is the reason why, but just everything is their own idea. That's why I spent so long with my channel trying to debunk religion in order to make religious people confront the fact that it's all them.
Seriously, I don't think most of them do. I mean, some do. They obviously do, because some religious people become atheists, but the vast majority of them just look at anything when you try and debunk what drivel they say and go, you don't know what you're talking about, or God first. They do a Ken Ham, basically.
Yeah, that's like Ken Ham and the young earth creationists. I don't get this, because when I was growing up in the early 70s, I was in the Catholic Church. And the Catholic Church was fine with the idea that, God put everything in motion, and evolution is just his process playing out the way he had planned it. And the Catholic Church was fine with that 50 years ago.
Well, to be perfectly honest, I can't keep all the denominations straight, and the number of people who've argued about whether Catholics count as Christians don't get me started. But, I mean, it's like, Some of them are okay with this, some are okay with that. Some of them, it's just, oh, we are religious on the holidays and otherwise we ignore it. And so it gets to a point where it's like, oh, I don't know who's okay with what anymore.
But just the Southern evangelical, I don't know what you're basing it in.
What?
I can't believe that Jen can't understand that an old man could build a ship out of wood in an area that doesn't hold any trees at all, and can now chew every animal on it, and 7 of unclean animals, obviously, and all the plant life survived in salt water.
When you think
that's a God there. That's God's interference.
Well, when you think about it, I mean, you remember that whole thing with Jesus and the loaves and fishes creating a lot of food where before there was only a little bit. And then you're talking about there's no trees to build the ark. Clearly, they had replicator technology back then. They just didn't know what it was.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I've always wondered with
how people got around. So, that whole 40 years wandering in the desert, people just kept transporting them back to where they were using the transporter, you see. That's why it took 40 years. I'm, of course, being, facetious.
Well, yeah, that would also explain that it's not be...
Not be what?
Not be what?
Sorry, Purple, I know I'm unmuting, but your explanation is better than the Bible, I have to say.
Well, I have a whole meme that I made about how George Lucas is actually God. Because he's a bearded man who created a galaxy. There's a father, a son, a ghost, good versus evil. I mean, come on, George Lucas is clearly the Christian God.
Yeah, I saw that. It definitely fits.
I really wish there was a hand-up system in StreamYard, because it would make life so much easier for Dog and for us.
Yeah, well, like I say, we all need to get on StreamYards about that, because until they get 10,000 comments on it, they're never going to do anything.
Yeah, no, I agree there, Perps. And I'm going to have to say, Dog, at the moment, with the way my head is, I'm not coping with this echo at all. And that's just me, because I'm a bit fluey at the moment.
I love you, Jen.
Yeah.
I love you all, and I'm going to opt out of this chat, obviously, until I sort this crap out. I've bought a new router. I've bought all sorts of crap to try and get rid of this echo, and it just won't go. It went away the other night by dismissing YouTube and just coming into StreamYard, but obviously it hasn't worked tonight, and I apologise. I hope I haven't ruined your stream, and as I say, I love you all. I'm going to sit and chat and talk crap from there. And I hope I didn't libel any of you guys at all, because I know I'm a liability. I talk shit. But I do love you guys. So I'm going to sit and chat. Good night.
Yeah. Dog, we like having you. And I would say one thing you should try is talking to Dick Dawson, because he was an audio engineer. He really has done an excellent job working out a lot of strange problems for people.
Yeah, have a chat with some of us out of stream, and we'll sort it out with you, Dog. But in the middle of a stream, it's almost impossible to try and sort it out. I know we tried a little bit before, but just the way it is just really frustrating and makes it really hard for us to manage the rest of us talking with the echo. So, and I am sorry. We love you, Dog. We love having your opinion on it, but it really is hard, and the way my head is at the moment, it's doing me in. So I'm sorry, but I love you. You are amazing. But thank you.
To be honest, I'm doing my own test streams myself. I'm waiting on a celebrity that I've paid money to say a certain thing for my channel, and even though he's a cock, and he's sort of debating whether he should say it or not, because I do talk shit on his Twitter page. I still want him to do it. As soon as he's on board, and he's reduced his price by 20 quid, by the way, because he's so desperate, then I'll be live with the Gospel According to Dog. That's my shill. Boom.
Who is
I'll be in chat. That's Kevin Sorbo.
Oh, dear goodness. Okay, he's gone. Let's talk about him.
Oh, no. Alright, where were we before I interrupted that with that? I am sorry to Dog, though, but I was...
forgot.
It was...
Sorry, I completely forgot.
It was doing my head in.
A billion emojis on Twitter.
I'm sorry, but it was doing my head in. If there's anybody else in chat who wants to hop in and has something to contribute, let me know. I know Brandon said he did. I believe you're in the group, Brandon. So the group chat for the channel has the link for the chat. So if you want to hop in, feel free to hop in. If you're not in the group chat, send Will or myself or Kitty a DM, and we will shoot you the link, and you can hop in and you can contribute to the chat, and we can go back to talking about. No, I want to bring up a point here and try and get us back a little bit on track, because mostly we've been doing the right suck. But when we talk about extremism on both sides, and there is definitely extreme people to the left. I know a lot of people, when you see people who claim that they're left and they're very extreme, a lot of us on the left will go, well, you're not really, you're being right. Is this actually a thing, though? If you go far enough left, do you actually end up back to being pretty much what the right is?
It's got a name. It's the horseshoe effect.
Yeah.
And no. Because the goals are different, even if the tactics end up being just as disgusting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I see it with TERFs, right? You get TERFs who... and they're one of the easiest examples to bring up, because I think just about everybody in our community knows what a fucking TERF is. You'll see TERFs, and they'll be on leftist idealism on everything else, and then all of a sudden, just on their issue of trans women and everything, they go incredibly right. And they're and they will actually climb into bed with places like the Heritage Foundation and stuff like that. So and sing right-wing dogma.
Hold on, I get it though, because they think they're going really, really, really hard left on women's rights, because they are TERFs. They don't think trans women are women, and so by going anti-trans, they think they're being pro-woman. And thus, on the left, they're idiots, but that's their thinking. I mean, I've known enough of that sort to know why they would be doing this. I mean, there's a lot of...
But are they left? Or are they right?
Yeah, no, they're left, but a lot of them have had like rapey experiences and unwanted advances and this, that, and the other thing, and they think bathrooms aren't safe from men, and they believe trans women are men, so they don't think bathrooms are safe if trans women go in them because they think they're going to get, blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's based on bullshit, and it's based on a lot of fear that honestly is misplaced in this case, but I get the mindset, even if I don't agree with it.
Yeah, they're buying into false narrative. They're not basing that on facts.
But if then from that point you are climbing into bed with the Heritage Foundation and other right-wing groups, have you sold your soul at that point? Have you stopped being? Do you stop having the right to claim yourself as being left if your way of getting what you want is to crawl into bed with the right?
I say yes because I'm hardline. Like, I have a hard line on Nazis. If you were a Nazi, if you're a former or anything, I don't think you should be around kids. I don't think your kids should be around kids. That person made that choice. I'm extremely hardline when it comes to stuff like that.
I think they're just born to and raised by Nazi parents.
at some point, somebody has to take personal responsibility, and it's usually the victim. And it's usually that person because that hatred is perpetuated.
I think the TERFs are just falling for the right tactic. That, so much of the right is to get people to not look at real issues by just making them afraid of some group. And I think that's what the TERFs have fallen into.
Yeah.
They've been made so paranoid about trans women that they're willing to abandon all of their other values.
Absolutely.
Well, wait a minute, but hold on, because I got the impression when this topic started that we were talking about people who went hard right on one issue but retained the rest of their left-wing values. I didn't think we were talking about people who, because they felt so passionately about this one issue, suddenly become, like war.
No, I was talking about being one issue. That was my point, Kate. Because,
Okay.
there are definitely TERFs who are like that, who will still talk about other left things like social welfare, etc., and they're all pro that, and they're still very left in other things. And yet, on this issue or in some other rights issues, they've moved so far right now that there's a disparity
also people
there.
like Posey Parker, Venice Allen, Dr. Julia Long. I've watched them over the past 2 years go from people that were far left to people who are now far right. They have disintegrated into that cycle of hatred.
And yet they still claim that, even though that you listen to those people, they say they're left, but everything they talk about is now right.
Well, Poopy Parker wrote a book called, well, she didn't write a book, but she wrote an article called Leaving the Left. So
Yes.
they literally said that they
left.
have left the left because of this one issue.
But that's the thing. I mean, conservatives are very good at the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and if they can win them over with propaganda works. It always has, and it always will. Now, if it is just one issue that you feel very strongly about, I mean, it's one of those things. If you have a person whose family was violently murdered by somebody, they are on the left, like, they believe in social welfare programs, living wage, universal health care. They are left on every single issue except the death penalty. They are pro the death penalty because of something they experience. I see a lot of TERFs, in the same way, and they're still doing a lot of harm, but it doesn't change the fact of the matter. You can't say someone's not a lefty. If they're 90% left, then I would be, say that, yeah, they're on the left. You can still have shitty ideas. There are people who are religious on the left. I'm not going to say that, they're not a lefty because they don't agree with taxing the churches, or that kind of thing. Like, one or two issues could be.
What about lefties?
Wipe out everything.
What about lefties who cater to the right, like those people I just named? They'll spout left ideology, but then their entire platform is being subsidized by the right.
Well, I don't know who these people are.
The UK TERFs.
They're
being paid. They're being paid by American organizations.
But there are TERFs in the US who are the same.
Yeah,
okay.
But they're not as popular.
They're not as popular as powerful. The TERFs in the UK are exceptionally powerful. They've got people in the Tory party who actually hold office. One of them has a picture on our on our thumbnail, and I can't remember her name because my brain's gone blank. Will probably remind me.
Liz Truss. Actually,
Liz Truss,
Kitty
thank
is
you.
Underneath Liz Truss right now.
Well, I want to address something that was sort of related to what Kitty was saying. Is that the sort of like purity testing that goes on the left is actually fracturing it big time. It's kind of like that scene in Life of Brian with the People's Front of Judea and the Judean People's Front and the Popular Front and all of that. It's like I might have mentioned on this show before. I know I've mentioned on the internet before that I just lost a friend of 16 years because we couldn't agree on whether or not it was okay for someone to say, like a feminist to say, I hate men. And I said, how about I hate misogynists instead of I hate men? Because if you're going to start making these sweeping statements about people and traits about them that they cannot help, nor should they want to, how are you any better than the people you're fighting against, really? Which I know sounds a little all lives matter-y, but let's face it, all lives can't matter until Black Lives Matter, so fuck it, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing, is that I lost this friend because she couldn't understand, like, she would not discuss the idea of having some safeguards against hatred building up in the movement, our own movement becoming toxic. She wouldn't talk about it. The only thing she would hammer on was, well, should someone leave a movement if someone else is behaving a little toxically? And what I had said was, I would leave that group, but I would continue to support the cause. And apparently that wasn't good enough, and blockety block.
Yeah. And to be honest, if I had the new layout running for the show already, I would have just put up a great big klaxon there going, preach, preach, because that was awesome, Kate.
As somebody, like, I consider myself a lefty, and I've had fallings out with quite a few people over politics, you know? So there's infighting in all groups.
But yeah, that's what you're saying. With the purity test, that's what I'm saying. If somebody is 90% in agreement with you on the issues, then, work with them on that 90%. Don't try to revoke their lefty card because they have one or maybe two issues that they disagree with you. You can try to change their mind. You can try to win them over to your side, but cutting them off completely, not only does that weaken your bargaining position because numbers are power in politics, but it also allows them to be scooped up by people that agree with them on those one or two things that can then poison them with rhetoric and propaganda, just like the TERFs were poisoned by the right-wingers who scooped in, to basically scoop them up into their cause, because they're fine with working with people that they don't actually like if it furthers their own agenda, if it furthers their own cause.
Matt's got a question for us.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, Matt, so can I ask the panel, was George Orwell's 1984 right-wing or left-wing? He thinks the answer might be interesting.
Okay, so I would actually say that it leans more on the right with fascist ideology, but when it comes down to it, I do believe that, you can't really place it on a simple left-right axis. You need all four of those quadrants. You need authoritarian and libertarian. And it would be, I believe, in the authoritarian right quadrant. But, I mean, it could just as well be on the authoritarian left. It literally comes down to the authoritarianism, not as much whether it's conservative or liberal.
So no, hold on. Disagree, because because I think, I mean, it's been a long time since I read it, a couple of decades, but I remember it portraying the authoritarianism as bad, right? Mm-hmm. So it may have been describing something that was like left-wing or right-wing fascism, and I would say right-wing, but we can get into that later. But I don't think it was presenting it as an instruction manual. I think it was, in 1984, I mean, it's usually taken by people as a warning.
Yes.
Rather than supporting what it describes.
Well, no, I wasn't saying it was supporting it. What I'm saying is the world it's describing, I would say, is, fascist, authoritarian right.
Sure.
The fact that they have information control, they have thought control, thought stopping techniques, kind of like cults. They are very.
We're having two different conversations. Actually, we're focusing on two different things, because I was thinking about, is the book right wing or left wing,
which is actually Matt's question.
And you seem to be saying, is the setting left wing or right wing?
Okay.
So we're having two different conversations.
Yeah. Matt's question was definitely, is a book left-wing or right-wing?
I think it could swing either way. And, ask a Trotskyite, ask someone who's lived in...
I think it's just a commentary on social norms.
Yeah, I think the book was a cautionary tale that...
Yes.
this is what can happen if we don't keep an eye on the government and which direction it's heading.
Yeah.
Because left or right could easily become that.
And Matt says he's happy with either answer, so he's fine with your answer, Kitty.
Because given too much power, either side could easily become that. And that's
I could see myself as a sort of benevolent dictator, because you know what? I give a damn. It's like, sure, I might have absolute power, but what if I use that to make everyone's life better?
Because power like that goes to your head. Power corrupts, and absolute power would corrupt absolutely. I mean, there becomes a point in time where you would grow detached from the people below you, and I honestly think that given, a dictatorship, anybody put into that position, even Gandhi, would turn into a monster, eventually.
Why do you think that's inevitable?
Because when you are so high above somebody, when you have all of the power, you start to think of yourself as better than, above others, and that leads to dehumanization of others. Because it's you and then everybody beneath you.
I don't even think that's the problem, Kitty.
Well, hold on, because that doesn't really describe the scenario I described. I mean, it gives me pleasure to help other people. When I've given someone a free meal, I feel good about it. When I've joined a cause to try to make people better or given a donation, I feel good about it. And so when I said I could see myself as a benevolent dictator who wants to make everyone's life better, like that's the purpose of having the power, it seems difficult to picture getting detached if that was your goal from the start.
Well, even for the benevolent dictator, though, I see a big problem there in that when you're trying to make people's lives better and doing things for their best interest, if they don't necessarily see it that way, this is actually the problem I have with my biological family. There's no malice involved there. It's just often their idea of helping has no regard for what my values actually are.
Okay, well, I was thinking more like, houses and medical care and all of that, making sure the basic needs are taken care of, and otherwise being largely hands-off.
Yeah. CPG Grey, and I don't know if anybody watches him, did a video about this, and it's called The Keys to Power. And this is where your problem's going to be. I don't think the problem is about the personality of the person who would take control. In that sense, it can be. I mean, if you're somebody who's going to get wrapped up in the power, and then the power will corrupt you. That's true, but not everybody is like that, Kitty. But the problem is the system that gets you there, because nobody just becomes a dictator on their own. They become a dictator on the back of a military or a social coup, a social revolution of some sort. And the power that gets them there isn't just invested in them, it's invested in all those tiers that get them there. And that system is not going to be filled with people that are all altruistic. It never is. There are people there who want power. And because of that, you're having to pay the people below you who keep you there in power to maintain your position in power. Even if your aims are completely altruistic, that system of getting you there in power will make sure that you cannot be completely altruistic. And that is the problem with every political system in the world, regardless of if it's a fascist dictatorship, a benevolent dictatorship, or a democracy. Because democracies have exactly the same power. The keys that get you to power is what causes a corruption. Look in America and how big business fund the big political parties to get the things that they want. That's part of the keys to power. If those businesses did not back the party, if the military did not back the US Congress, you would have a change of government in your country, and nobody wants that. So the government capitulates. It gives extra money to the military. It gives tax cuts and benefits to these big businesses, to the media and everything like that, because they have to, or else they don't stay where they are. They will be torn down and they will lose their position. And regardless of whether you're on the left or the right, you have to play by that rule book. And that is what causes the corruption in government.
Well, that wasn't quite the scenario I was positing, but okay. I mean, I accept your premise, but the scenario I was positing was more of an absolute power kind of thing. Like, you're gonna get obeyed.
Yeah.
And it's hard to picture, like, after 10 years and everyone's clothed and fed and has a house and all of that stuff, and we're not fighting a bunch of pointless wars. I mean, how many people are going to hold out going, no, I hate this. I hate having a free house. I hate having
Some
free
people are
education.
contrarian.
All that stuff. I mean, it just seems so weird
And some
that
people would want to overthrow you. Like, even if you didn't turn into a monster, you would be at risk of being overthrown. Now,
Yeah.
and again, is you're obeyed because people like you, or are you obeyed because you have some sort of like magical ability? That would weigh into it as well. But when it comes down to it, like you would have to be able to survive as a dictator long enough to better everyone's lives and hope that there aren't enough contrarians to overthrow you, or just greedy people that want your position of power. And I believe that part of the becoming a monster and the othering of people would be what you would have to do to stay in power, because you would have coup and assassination attempts.
Again, the situation I was positing
It's
was one where
hypothetical.
See, the problem is folks are focusing really hard on this being overthrown part. And what I was getting at was, if I had that kind of power, I don't think it would corrupt me. I think because I get a certain kind of high at making someone's life better, it seems difficult to have that corrupted all by itself. Like, regardless of this keys to power stuff, I think that someone like who doesn't want power for its own sake is hard to corrupt.
I would agree, Kate. Yeah.
Okay.
So I was just about to say, I was actually put in that position where when my father passed away, I was given a position of power, and I literally made sure that everyone knew the job that they were doing, and I left people alone. And now the business runs itself. I wouldn't call myself a dictator, but people are nice to me because they have to be.
Having said that, you do look a little bit like a potato. Dictator? Sorry.
Dictator, I like them.
Well, okay, since you went there, there's this old joke, like, what's the difference between Hitler and a jockstrap? One's a dictator, the other's a dictator.
Oh.
Well, I was actually holding that back for like 10 minutes because it's fucking childish, but you started with taters.
I did.
I was given a position of power, and instead of coming in and pretending like I knew everything, I was like, hey, what do you know? What do you know? Like, let's run this together, instead of saying, I'm the boss and I know everything. I was raised around that place. I know like 30% of it, and I know this.
That works fine on a small scale. And that's why, like tribal systems are somewhat more stable because the leader actually knows everyone involved.
True.
When you get beyond a couple hundred people and the people who are running the thing no longer know everyone they're representing, then it gets a lot easier for them to dehumanize things. But even without going that route, even without the leaders getting corrupt, if you're trying to improve everybody's lives, you're still going to come up against things that no decision is going to make everyone happy. You're still going to get people who are on different sides of issues, so no matter which way you go, a third to half of the people are going to be upset with you.
Yeah,
it's one of the basic premises of whatever empire I were to build, were I were that benevolent dictator, would be, like, you can believe whatever the hell you like, but treat everyone in a neighborly fashion, damn it.
Can we bury all the turtles?
Like, I hate all of those people because of this reason. It's like, okay, go ahead and hate them. But the instant you start trying to do something because of your hatred, we're going to land on you like an anvil.
You won't be able to please all the people. It's not possible.
Yep.
We can't.
True. But I mean, the point is that I don't care who is pleased as long as everyone is not like actively killing each other in the street because of their hatreds. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. The other thing that you run into is that even if you manage to make everybody's lives good, that'll make everybody happy for a while. But when everybody's lives have been good for 10 or 15 years, they're going to be asking, well, why are we stuck with just this? Why haven't we progressed? Why don't we have more than we used to have?
Who says that it'll be that static? I mean, part of the point was that people's lives are good, and so productivity goes up. This has been proved recently. I think it was Iceland or Japan or something. They experimented with a 4-day work week, and production actually went up because people were rested, people were happy, they were seeing their family, that they felt like their lives were their own again, where they weren't just working to live. And so if you made people's lives better, like if you were able to take that military budget, the bloated military, and build houses for the homeless with it, give everybody a house, and don't charge them property taxes on it. Let's not be lunatics. and we made their lives better in this way. Now they're not worried about their mortgage. And so they could even accept a lower paying job and still live a really good, like, middle class lifestyle. Hell, I'm living proof of that. I didn't pay for this condo, but I do own it, and I'm not paying rent. And I'm not paying for my medical care either. And I'm socking away a bunch of money on less than minimum wage, right? So if you were to take care of those stresses on people, those financial stresses, you would actually make this country better.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that. That's basically the argument I've been pitching about the UBI.
Right, and it gives people more opportunity
we so should have
explore interests and things like that. I mean, I love the idea of eliminating the entire concept of the starving artist.
Please, yes.
And also, I mean, a lot of people might pursue education on their days off and become like a physicist or a doctor or something. Who knows? And it's just all down to having that extra time for yourself.
And people who are carers for, family members won't have to choose between being there for the family member that needs them and, eating or having a place to live. But I mean, it's why, if you think about it, like, if you could remove the factor of human emotions, mainly like greed and like jealousy, and the fact that it's ripe for dictatorship, communism on paper works. Everyone's provided for. The only issue is you have people that are lazy, you have people that are greedy, you have people that, are upset that, the janitor is getting the exact same wage as the doctor, or is getting the exact same things as the doctor. Like, it works in a small scale, like with a commune, where, like Perp was saying, in a more tribal setting, or even, with just, again, a commune. You've got a bunch of people working the land together, living together, like, everything's hunky-dory, everyone's provided for, everyone's chipping in what they can, and that works. But on a larger scale, where you don't have the interactions with people, you don't, see them face to face, and you have, like, the entirety of your livelihood being the same as somebody that you think is less than you. Because, so I know people that have gone to med school that they scoff at a janitor. Like, literally, they're like, oh, it's menial labor, or it's mindless work. I went to med school. I'm obviously smarter and better and blah, 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 blah. Those types of attitudes, again, taking the dictator thing aside, are what kill communism.
Yeah,
well, I've had those thoughts before, and when I look at a janitor's job, scrubbing toilets and dealing with garbage, that is thankless work. I don't care how mindless it is; it's horrible. If I had a company, I'd make sure they were paid, far above what most janitors are paid, because they deserve it for the shit that they deal with, literally and figuratively.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the biggest problem I see with that kind of system is, like, if you have the UBI, if everybody's insured a basic low-level living, then how do you get people to take the thankless jobs? How do you get people to be the janitors and garbage collectors that everybody looks down on?
Well, you have to incentivize
That's what
them
robots are for.
Or to help people with disabilities. Again, as someone who runs a business that helps people with disabilities, there's a real vetting process that we have to go through for people to work there, and it's hard to find people. And if they didn't have an incentive of being paid more, most people would not work there at all.
Yeah, well, there's a chronic nursing shortage. There has been in this country for the last 80 years.
Exactly. And so we have to pay people more. And most people that show up, if you're going for that kind of job, you want to help people in the first place. So most people are good people, but it's hard to find people sometimes.
Well, also, I'm sure part of it is just that nurses are expected to work those insane, 14-plus hour shifts, too. They need to hire more nurses, as well as bumping the pay up. I mean, part of the problem is, like you say, greed. There are people who want money just to have it. It's like a way of keeping score for them. Me, I want money because of what it can do for me. I want to make a movie, a really good one, and I mean, maybe the animation I'm working on will take me there someday, but I'm not holding my breath. It'd be great to have a couple $100 million to be able to fund my own.
There is freedom in being able to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Even if you have a UBI, you'll still have people do the janitorial jobs because you don't lose your UBI if you start working. So you can actually still be better off taking a part-time janitorial job on top of your UBI if you're a struggling artist or something like that. So you don't lose that ability. Yet the UBI doesn't change any of that. I do see the concern that if you start giving everyone a UBI, businesses will put prices up because they know people have more money, which it could be a problem. It shouldn't be a problem, but it could be.
Well, I mean, capitalism is amoral and about making a profit, so
Exactly.
you would have to legislate somehow restrictions that, just because people have more money, you can't just, start jacking the prices of milk up to $100 a gallon,
Well, they already do that.
I was about to say,
the U.S. government has farm subsidies, and they fix the price of milk and dairy products.
Well, I'm saying for other things, I just pulled milk out of my ass. And I'm saying that the government already has systems in place for doing things like that, so there isn't any reason they can't just extend that, to all the basic goods. That
problem you'd have there is,
unfortunately, there is a reason. It's a bad reason, but there is a reason, and it's that the left likes to use what I've heard called values-neutral governance. The left likes to have rules that apply in every situation regardless of context. Yeah. So saying okay, we can fix the price on this, and this, but not that, and that is something the left doesn't like to do.
It really seems like the only way a communist system would work is if the entire country was filled with nothing but humanists. Because it seems as a collective whole.
Even then, some humanists are still assholes.
No, there are, but I'm saying as a collective whole, they care more about, as a general rule, I should say, they care more about the collective whole. They don't care if their taxes go up if it means that the little kid down the street can get heart surgery that they need, Well,
I don't think you need to have a communist system for that.
No. I said humanists would be the only way that you would be able to have a communist system that would work. It would have to be filled with nothing but humanists because they care more about the collective whole, and they care more about, they don't care if their taxes go up because it helps the person down the street. It was more of a humans in general. I don't think communism would work in practice, but maybe if the communist country was nothing but humanists.
So that would be a form of imposed humanism, which would not be in the best interest of people because it would be not allowing them to believe other things. Right?
No, not saying it's imposed, saying the people already believed in humanism. It's take all the humanists and put them in their own country.
Oh, I see.
I think that's the only way that communism would work, is if you scooped up every humanist in the world and, plopped them in a country, that might be the only way.
Hold on, because this is a scenario that I've posited before, except instead of their own country, it was their own planet, because let's face it, countries can be invaded. The idea was, go through a wormhole, close the wormhole, now they're settling this planet. But
If
my
we're on
question,
different planets, why does it need to be-
I haven't even gotten to my question yet, so hush you. My question was about nature versus nurture. Sure, we populated this place with humanists, but do their offspring stay humanists? I mean, sometimes you can teach someone all of your values and they go the other way anyway. So how much do attitudes breed true is my question.
Yeah, and the point and that's a great question, because that's something that happens. People, the children are not always following their parents' footsteps on things when it comes to religion or non-religion, things like that. The problem I see with communism still, though, is that it is not guaranteeing our freedoms, including one of the things that's common with communism is that they choose for the citizens what their careers are going to be. Citizens don't typically get to choose that on their own, and I don't think that that's going to lead to a psychologically healthy society. Yeah.
No, I was just saying, on paper it seems like communism would work because everyone's provided for, and no one's expected to contribute more than they are able to.
That's socialism.
I mean, the whole of each according to his ability, to each according to his needs. That was that line was what I was extrapolating upon.
Communism doesn't care about that when they're selecting careers. It doesn't matter what your interests are or what your capabilities are. They don't have time to manage that.
Yeah, like I said, it was just
I think socialism
an abstract thing.
I think if you were to say that socialism would be the one to go with, then that would definitely be a lot more compatible with humanism, I think.
Well, I agree, but it depends on the kind of socialism, because let's face it, that covers a lot of ground. Bernie Sanders socialism, I'm totally down with, but I have a lot of experience with that one, so.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, anarchy would be considered a form of socialism, but I wouldn't go for anarchy at all.
The problem with anarchy is that anarchists can't agree on how to.
What anarchy is, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and also, you can't have. You can't organize around anarchists because no one wants to be told what to do.
No, I'm a Voltairean anarchist. I want to go live in the woods and be away from everybody.
I know. More survivalist than anarchist, but okay.
Welcome back, Doug, and I'm glad to see it's working.
Is it sorted?
Yeah, this is awesome. No echo.
If you're not muted, you're sounding fine.
I think Kitty has a really interesting thought about what would be the right political system to be best suited to humanism, and this is a very interesting topic that you've raised.
Sorry, what was that, Doug?
I was just saying hi to Randall. He's my guru, that man.
Randall's great. I adore him.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, and Kitty, if I seemed like I was coming on strong, I didn't mean to.
No. You're fine. I'm fine with spirited debate. Okay. Not everyone's going to agree with me.
Yeah,
yes, they are.
Just seems to lack the freedom aspects that humanism has. So, yeah, and that's a good response.
To be fair, Randolph, I'm a bit fluey and Kitty's really exhausted, so we're a bit down on energy for this one.
Yeah, and I'm a capitalist. Come fight me.
Face the truth, Randolph. You're a misogynistic prick. You're building an art. You say it's a studio, but it's an art. You're going to have 2 of every animal. They probably all women, knowing you. And that's what you're building in there, man. There's a studio. It's gone on forever
bits and pieces of this, but it sounds very interesting.
Hang on. Can we just go back to there's 2 of all animal, but they're probably all female with Randolph? Are you suggesting Randolph is going to breed with every animal?
I don't think I'm up for that. No, I'm only interested in humans close to my age.
And that totally changes the Noah story, though.
I'm cutting that part out.
Don't let the white hair fool you. The same as Will. He shaves his head because he's got the white hair as well.
I do, actually. That's why I say
it. You look like a rusty bullet, mate. I'm being a liability again. Go on, I'm going to be quiet.
I am of that age where my beard is turning white. It actually is a reason why I do shave.
I just tend to
But
think you. I forget you can grow a beard, and I tend to think that you're just bald entirely.
Well, it was a very long time before, and this is kind of embarrassing, but it was a very long time before I figured out that, like, Bill Murray or Richard Nixon didn't have some sort of weird faux hawk haircut, that it was male pattern baldness. I had no idea. I thought, like, for some reason they shaved or mowed some of their scalp back, but left the middle. It's like a front mullet almost, or a front rat tail.
It's the old hawk.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know.
I remember in the 1980s, some comedian was saying that they should put the Hair Club for Men president in charge of fixing the hole in the ozone layer.
Oh, gosh, I don't know who that is.
So, I know we're jumping off the subject, but has anybody seen what
Wait
it
a minute,
actually
that's from
is?
Red Dwarf.
Has anybody actually seen what Hair Club for Men is nowadays?
Are they still around?
I'm going to give it away. And you know what, Hair Club for Men, you could sue me on this one. It's a wig.
Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, yeah, you showed me that the other day. Yeah.
So, one late night here in Sewing Central, I was watching YouTube and a random, commercial came on. And I smoke really good pot, so I watched it. And it was a person of color. So I'm like, oh, I'm watching this thing. And it goes from the guys in the car, and he's like, oh, I can't wait to show everybody my new hair. They didn't show that it's literally like spray-on stuff. They literally stick it to your head. It's plugs, but they literally stick it to your head.
And it sprays on with aerosol, of course, which is not good for the ozone layer.
I just was shocked that in 2021, Hair Club for Men, if that commercial, if they weren't selling it, that commercial wouldn't be there, So obviously they're selling it to somebody.
So who
Made
here
from the
recognizes
cubes of a Burmese maiden.
Does anybody here recognize the slogan, "You too can be like Tom Vu"?
No.
No.
How about this one?
Have you ever seen the film Paul?
What's that?
Have you ever seen the film Paul?
Oh, yeah. Go
You
with
look
Simon
like
Pegg
Paul.
and Nick Frost, right?
That's right.
All right.
Will looks like Paul. Go have a deeper accent and sound a little bit more like Seth Rogen. You don't.
Oh.
I love you too, dog. Thank you.
I mean, I guess I a little bit see it, but
Well,
still,
So did I miss the conversation about extremism?
kinda.
Yeah, we've officially jumped the shark on 3.
Although we haven't yet discussed extreme sports.
So was that like when I used to watch wrestling and they had like SmackDown Extreme or Raw Extreme? I'm aging myself. This literally was like
I was
27
thinking more like people doing wacky rail slides on skateboards and then doing wacky parkour stuff as soon as they jumped off the skateboard. Those sorts of extreme sports.
The ones who land in the hospitals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are they?
I used
Yeah,
to.
there's these sports where they don't count it as a sport if there isn't a chance of dying.
Right.
I
Wow.
had blades that had blocks on them, so I could like ride rails and stuff back in the day.
Technically, you could die in any sport.
Oh, you were a skater too?
Yeah, but some sports have a higher likelihood.
Yes, but there is definitely a chance to die in almost every sport.
I grew up playing real hockey and street hockey and baseball, Randolph, because I'm from the suburbs.
Okay.
And so our parents kept us busy.
People
So
have
we
died
always-
playing
Well,
chess.
I'm from
What's
the
that
suburbs,
sport
and
in
we
Canada?
played kickball and kick the can and capture the flag and stuff.
I did too.
Ah.
Table tennis can be dangerous too. It's a sport I enjoy. I was at a club where one guy, he made this big jump for getting the ball, and then his knee caught the corner of the table, and it ripped open, blood everywhere. The ambulance had to come and take him away.
Fun.
Ooh, thank you, Rand.
There was some footage I saw on YouTube recently of some guys doing that like Ultimate Fighting Championship thing, And I don't know what the hell happened, but one dude kicks the other dude in the shin, and the guy doing the kicking, his shin breaks in half, and his leg just flops everywhere, and he just falls down. And I was like, oh my gosh, I will never unsee that, will I?
Oops.
What's that lame sport in Canada? It's like bowling on ice.
Curling.
Curling, that's it, yeah.
They showed on TV here. I watch it on TV all the time.
It requires skill and really good aim.
I honestly don't understand it. It just looks like shuffleboard when you're standing on the board.
Yeah.
So I know I'm promoting capitalism, but on the hockey channel they have a pro curling league. And
cool.
So
really?
Yeah. It's not an extreme sport then. What's pro curling? The actual
Isn't curling just lawn bowls on ice though?
They're in like a curling stadium and they have sponsors and really cool coats, you know.
Well, and we got those two guys with the wacky, like the little brushes that they have to do in front of the what the hell is it? A puck, a rock, something? I don't remember.
Stone.
Okay, but like, what are they doing with those brushes? Do they actually change the direction of it, or are they slowing it down?
Yeah,
somehow?
they're shaving the ice.
They're shaving the ice so the ice stays smooth.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
that's what I've wondered about is how much of a difference do the brooms really make?
They're not allowed to touch the ice with the stones with the brooms. If they do, that's a problem. So they keep some distance from it. But the ice, the problem is the ice. There's more friction if it's not freshly swept. So they want it to be just right. And the people doing the brooms, they kind of try to not overdo it so that they can make sure it doesn't go too far as well. There's all kinds of things going on there.
So that would be kind of a yes to what I said.
Yeah, there's a whole technique.
Kind of, yes, yeah.
Curling's awesome.
Complicated answers to simple questions, Kate.
I love winter sports, though.
Yeah.
And
I hate being cold. I hate cold so much. Like, you know that speech Anakin gives about hating sand? That's me with snow.
Well, most Canadians know more about hockey than about curling, I can tell you.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you know more about snow than anything else for a second.
Oh, we know quite a bit about snow too. Yes, but that's just life experience.
Yeah. How many words for snow have you got?
Does it snow on your side much anymore?
It depends which side he's lying on.
Here in southern BC, no, we don't get very long snows here. Once in a while we do, but it usually they're pretty short. And if there is a lot, it's usually pretty slushy because the temperature is fairly moderate here. So we get a lot of slush. I really like it when we get a few days of powdery snow.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's very enjoyable for a few days. Most will get maybe a week or two. And when I was a kid growing up, it used to be we'd get longer, deeper snows here. So it has been gradually moving. Yep, climate change. Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen the effects of it in my lifetime. And
I've noticed that in Minnesota, that our springs are getting earlier.
So Randolph, you've missed most of the big discussion about does the left become right? Is there a difference between extremism of the left to the right? But I'd love your opinion on it because I think it's.
You're asking me?
I am asking you, Randolph.
Okay, yeah. More form of extremism.
Well, I think it really depends on the individuals. I do see a lot more of the extremism coming from the right-aligned people than from the left-aligned, because left-aligned seems to be more in line with freedom and whatnot, and right-aligned seems to be more in line with authoritarianism. And I think authoritarianism lends itself more easily to extremism. But in general, I'm not saying specifically, but in general it does. And so I think there's a greater tendency for it on the right, but I would be a fool to say it doesn't exist amongst certain people on the left as well.
So I have a quick question for you, Randolph. Yesterday, Jen posted a picture of Mitch McConnell giving a BJ to Donald Trump.
I saw that one.
There were quite a few people. There were a couple of people that got offended, and they were from the left, and they were saying, "Oh, it's homophobic and this and that." And as you know, the resident bi guy here, and someone who's dated a dude for, who has in the past, I didn't think it was at all in any way, shape, or form, but I'm on a different side than these particular people are, but they're left. Is it too far? Where is that line where you say I'm left, and then where's that line where you're left and you're policing people? Because that's where it starts getting annoying with me, when you start telling people what to do.
I think
the left tells people what to not do. Like, don't beat black people. Don't.
I agree with that.
Don't beat up gay people and leave them tied to a fence to die. The left says like stop.
But I don't think
two
dudes having coitus isn't offensive.
Well, I think there's a number of characteristics that would be left aligned, and a number of characteristics that would be right aligned, and the nuance is that an individual may have most of those characteristics, but not all of them. Like, there are atheists I know who are Americans who vote Republican, and that surprises people, because that's kind of, from a political standpoint, they're on the right, but from the standpoint of other things, they're definitely on the left. So I think it's a mistake to think that there's this, to kind of make it like a brand that you follow all the characteristics absolutely in order to be on the left. It's a number of different things. It's multi-tracked,
and it's also just the character of the opposition, the character of the extremism. I mean, let's face it, when you look at when you look at the left and the right, which side has more guns? Which side believes in guns, in violence? When the left starts getting violent, it's usually because someone has done enough violence to them and they feel like they have no other recourse. When the right does violence, it's because they just plain didn't get their way. It's different. I mean,
I've definitely noticed
left and right extremism have different energy. They have different flavors.
Well, and unfortunately, one of the things now is that we can't agree on basic reality.
Oh yeah,
We can't agree on what are facts and what are just the shit somebody made up.
Yeah, Donald Trump and his alternative facts.
Oh, don't even get me started.
But Bionic Dance makes a great point here, because the things that she just highlighted about the right, with they're just not getting their way, so they go to violence right away, that is sort of in line with the authoritarian type of approach, whereas the ones on the left are kind of letting things happen and trust in others, and hopefully things will get better, and they finally get so bad, then they push back. It's out of desperation. I do see that alignment makes a lot of sense there.
So left is more
extremism on the left. Like, I'm trying to picture what at least United States left-wing terrorism would look like.
I can tell you that in a heartbeat. Eco-terrorism, it happens here all the time.
Greenpeace.
When there's developments put up, there are organizations that brag about burning them down, especially around here, because there's a bunch of protected species that LA County does not care about because we're expanding. I'm not going to out myself on that
there's
one.
Aside from that, the most I can picture is the animal rights activists throwing blood on people like CEOs of meat companies.
That actually happens.
Oh, I know. That's my point. Is like when I think of left-wing extremism, I think of that. The left tends to go for vandalism rather than overthrow.
There was a comment about this during the whole thing about throwing a slushy on people, where where somebody said if the right get upset, you might get a baseball bat or a gun in your face. If the left get upset, you get wet.
Yeah, we had a politician here. If you look up Stockwell Day, D-A-Y, and chocolate milk, you'll find news articles about somebody who threw chocolate milk at him when he was speaking. He's a politician.
Sounds so vaguely familiar.
Yeah, we throw chocolate milk here. Other places throw alcohol and things
now
like
I want chocolate milk. Screw you, dude.
I'll take the old school ones they used to give me in elementary school. Those were tasty and great.
Oh, I remember those two.
I wouldn't like to waste the chopped milk, to
I'm
be
in a
honest.
bunch of 80s groups, and people have been waxing nostalgic about cafeteria pizza. I thought cafeteria pizza was disgusting. It was so gross. I mean, the problem was that the crust wasn't even crust; it was soggy. And the cheese like just ripped right off. Like you bite into it and then like pull and it slaps you in the chin. You know, although the one that people don't remember, for some reason I seem to be the only one who remembers this, is French bread pizza. When
Stop talking about pizza. I want
these
pizza.
mini baguettes.
Now I'm craving stuff.
I am craving pizza now. I had a pizza the other day.
My elementary school had we had an actual lunch lady that cooked real meals Monday through Friday. So my in the 80s, my memories of the cafeteria are fond. Absolutely fond memories.
I got a pizza the other day, and instead of ground beef on it like you get on some pizzas, it had chunks of steak that are it was absolutely gorgeous. This is an amazing pizza. I want one now.
That sounds really good.
It was really good.
I really like New York style pizza. The thin crust with that yellow grease, orange grease. I love it so much. Oh, nothing better than New York pizza.
I've had mac and cheese pizza twice, and both times they were very good.
All right, so I'm going to get into a controversial subject.
We haven't been controversial.
Stop putting weird stuff on pizza. I'm gatekeeping. You guys are turning me off right now to my favorite food. I'm allergic to tomatoes, and I still eat pizza once a week.
Well, I will say that, unpopular opinion. I think that Hawaiian pizza is okay, but otherwise pineapple is an abomination.
See, if it's
pineapple is an abomination on anything, Kate.
I love pineapple by itself, but pineapple on pizza.
Hang on, this is serious. If pineapple is accompanied by ham, it's fine on pizza. The problem is people keep talking about it without ham. That's the weird one.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That was the point I was getting at. Hawaiian style is pineapple and ham, just like you said, and otherwise it's nasty. But Hawaiian style's fine.
No, you're aware that pineapple curdles the cheese that's on the pizza. That's a chemical reaction that happens that changes the flavor on the pizza. And I get that some people like it. I cannot stand it, and I don't like pineapple.
I've never noticed that. That has never been a factor in my Hawaiian style pizza.
Yeah.
Okay. The problem is not pineapple with ham. It is not pineapple with cheese. It is that pineapple should never touch any tomato-based product.
Yeah, I like a garlic Parmesan style sauce on my Hawaiian pizzas the most.
That actually sounds really nice.
I mean, garlic is lovely, but Parmesan just smells like vomit to me.
But basically a white sauce, like a garlic white sauce.
In the UK, the Pizza Hut in the 90s did a limited edition chicken satay pizza with which was a peanut base. It did have pineapple on it, but that was probably the best thing that ever come out of Pizza Hut ever. And it was limited edition. They haven't done it, fuckers. Can I just rewind a bit as well?
Go ahead.
Going back to America, and the Constitution is hundreds of years old, and you build new laws that protect the Constitution when the Constitution itself needs to be addressed. It really does. It is out of date. It is hundreds of years old, and it's just nonsense now. But people abide by it. I have a right to own a gun. No, you don't. Because a gun.
There's a controversial comma or missing comma there. Yeah.
I'm literally pulling it out right now.
I mean, most of the people that are on the right wing are always like they have this major fetish, a massive hard-on for the founding fathers, even though the founding fathers said things that they think they didn't, and vice versa. You know, it's just like it's taken to this near demigod status, and so like updating the Constitution to them is like changing the Bible.
Yeah.
Yeah, but people don't understand the Constitution because, people will form these weird militias. I'm looking at you, the entire state of Michigan. People will form these weird militias and not realizing you already have one. It's called the National Guard because people don't know the law of the land. We have militias. They're called the National Guard. Let a disaster happen.
We're talking about a document that is hundreds of years old and it needs amended because it is out of date.
The problem is that it's
out of date.
And we have the same problem with the Constitution that we have with the militias. Those who are the most vocal about that we have to preserve it have never read the fucking thing.
Exactly.
Absolutely, Peps. Absolutely, mate. And
that's why I always pull the book out because I don't think people realize it's like 5 lines. The Second Amendment is like 5 or 6 lines. You can interpret that in so many different ways. It's not even funny.
But it doesn't specify what kind of arms you're allowed to have.
Yeah.
The government could easily say, you can't have guns. Everyone has to have rapiers.
Bring it back to black powder.
Yeah, I think we should go by it that they could only legislate the stuff that was available at the time it was written. So if you want to go by that, you just can't have any weapon that was invented after 1776.
Hey, I have an ensign. Let's go.
I do like the idea of okay, you can have as many guns as you like, but the bullets cost $5,000 each.
Well, that's it. The Second Amendment doesn't mention ammunition.
People start making their own bullets.
Well, it didn't need to because people made their own back then.
Kate just brought up a good point, though. Bullets are still cheap in America. I'm not saying go after that or anything, but bullets are cheap in America.
But I mean, if they were expensive, you wouldn't shoot at someone unless you really meant it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, but God is telling these kids to go up and shoot up nursery school. I mean, it's their right, isn't it? God-given right.
I'm loving this conversation, but I'm going to start winding up the stream. Mostly because A, I have to take Rob to the doctors this afternoon, and B, I'm starting to get to the point where I'm not functioning.
Well, I'm hungry anyway. I like I said, I came into this slightly baked, and now the munchies are asserting themselves.
Now you've got the munchies. Well, Kate, whilst you're talking,
as well.
I would like to say I like Kitty and Jen's backgrounds.
Oh, they look awesome, don't they?
Yeah. But, Jen, where is that? Is that somewhere in... Huh?
That's in Perth.
Perth, okay.
Yeah, it's not, I didn't take it, but it's a long exposure shot over the city at night.
Beautiful. A nice picture.
It is.
And Kitty, tell us what's going on in your picture.
Oh, it's just some spooky, magical, you've got the raven and then you've got the spell book and the candle.
It's a spell book.
Something I thought was interesting.
Okay, it's just not just a pattern on the table, it's an actual spell book. I see it now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like the candle.
Yeah, so cool. I love the aesthetic. It makes me feel like I'm in a gothic castle.
It's awesome. And you've got the purple hair to match. It's everything's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, Jen and Kitty, go straight to bed. Don't get out of jail. Stay asleep till you're better.
And hopefully you can collect $200.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I've got to do another stream later on, and I'm not looking forward to it. Well, I am, but I'm not looking forward to doing it.
An hour, so anybody who's still awake can come over there for whatever you want to
I
discuss.
would, Perps, but again, I'm taking my brother to the doctors, so I'm sorry, Perps.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I think I'm gonna put on some sort of, I don't know, esoteric sounding music and one of those kaleidoscope videos and just sack out and get even more baked. I mean, there's something about a neon kaleidoscope video that just really works.
Now, all I can think of is that line of the girl with kaleidoscope eyes. And I've got the tune entirely wrong. It's Beatles, and I can't remember. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, that's what it is. Oh, well, how did I forget that?
My favorite Beatles song.
I'm going to probably head over to Neil's stream because I usually hang out there, but I came here tonight because I got invited, so
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I mean, Neil invited me to his stream too, but I didn't go because I was going to do this.
Yeah. We can pop on over there and liven up the party.
No, I need to go out and get those pretzels that I want so bad.
Yeah. Okay, so
I love munchies. Hush you.
what have you got coming up, Kate?
Same as always. I'm working on my animation, and it's progressing pretty well. I'm working on cutting together a trailer, but don't expect anything for a while.
Are you going to do another video about animation techniques? Because that was interesting.
I'm trying to figure out what to do next. I mean, because I've been including these when I've been making like the animation itself, and I'm going, oh, here's something interesting that I haven't covered before. The only thing I can think of right now is like showing how a character can hand an object to another character using link controllers.
Oh, that would be interesting. Yes.
Yeah, because I mean, there's a shot right now, like the scene that's happening that I'm animating right now is set in a futuristic pub, and characters are handing beers to each other.
Oh, nice.
No,
Yeah.
that sounds like a really interesting video.
You could do a whole episode on the beer and how to make it look like it's spilling and stuff like that.
Yeah, or bubbling even.
And that would probably be a hit because people like beer.
I use the most cheaty, brute force, kludgy way of simulating liquid. Don't even get me started.
Make an episode about it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's interesting watching what you're doing, okay? So
yeah, I like your animation.
Really enjoyed the last one. Randolph, what have you got coming up?
Well, I was just on the Promethean frontier yesterday. They had me on to talk about secularism and how it's better than a society that's run under religion. So we got into some details there and ended up veering off into parenting a little bit, which was neat. And I think it is kind of related, but not so directly. But yeah, coming up, I don't have anything right on the horizon at the moment. I do need to take care of some other stuff here at home before I can continue with my construction on the studio. And so I'm hoping next week I'll be able to continue with that work. And so that's for the future True North Talk program at truenorthtalk.ca, the website. So, other than that, thank you very much for inviting me to join this. I'm sorry I couldn't be here on time. I was out doing stuff for clients, as I mentioned.
That's okay, Randolph. It's good to have you here and have your opinion on stuff.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that very much, and look forward to more of these in the future. And thank you to everybody in the audience for being here.
Oh yeah, the audience are always amazing. And Dog, I know you're you've said before you're working on your channel and you're going to have some content up hopefully soon.
Yeah, I've got the gospel according to Dog. No one gets the capital G for some reason. Well, waiting for a certain celebrity who's umming and ahhing about what I've sent him to say. I've even picked him up in it. He can, but he's still umming and ahhing.
I gotta say, Doug, I really like your picture, your avatar. You got the Pope hat on the dog and everything. It's fantastic.
I've actually got the dog talking.
Awesome.
Mouth move on the on the channel. Well, it won't work on here, obviously, but yeah, the mouth moves and it's all going forward. I'm cracking on with it, and to be fair, I'm back in video and I managed a few steps today.
Oh, brilliant! I haven't put everyone's links in the descriptions yet, and I should have, but I will, and they'll be in there later on. So please, anyone who's in the chat, if you're not subscribed to these people or following them on Twitter, please go and do that.
Yes.
Everyone in chat who don't know about my life, I had a stroke. 2019.
Yeah.
I was pretty married. It was a full-blown stroke, so I lost the whole left side of my body and my right ear. I went deaf in my right ear for some reason. I've gone blind, half my body works, and that includes lungs, kidneys, everything. The PP don't work anymore, ding-a-ling. At the moment, but it's all coming back, hopefully. Then I was put into an induced coma for a couple of months. I was having reactions to the meds, and everything's all going back to normal now. So I'm back on the second stretch of in my life.
Oh, you've been through some major stuff. Holy cow!
Yeah, I'll be through some stuff, but I don't regret my life at all. I'm only 52. That's young as far as I'm concerned. I don't regret 1 second of my life. Apart from when I was a child in Catholic.
There's no point regretting for any of us.
But I've met a whole bunch of friends now, awesome people in this community, and I adore all of you. And it's a delight to be on channels and even in chats of these people.
Oh, I loved it when you came on my first live stream on July 1st. That was really nice to have you on, and you were the first person on my first live stream ever, and that meant a lot to me.
Well, you were the first person to follow me on my new profile on Twitter.
Yeah, and that's why it means so much to me. Thank you.
You know I love you, man. And you know I only take the mic when I know the arm. I'm only messing about. I know you're an awesome guy, Jen. Will, although you look like a rusty bullet. Tiffy, Purple, I'm coming to watch you in a second. I love you. I really do love you guys. I'm glad to have been. I know I'm a liability and I say silly things like, well, I'm not going to say what normal shit I say.
You sound fine now.
Yeah.
Well, I really do love you guys.
Yeah, just make notes of what all your settings are now so you keep it like this.
Yeah, whatever you did, it fixed the problem.
It fixed it, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I bought a new router. It's been a fortune. But anyway, it doesn't matter. It's fixed it. Well, I love you guys. Crack on.
Love you too. And Purple, you've got something coming up very instantly.
Well, in an hour, just, my usual random chats. It happens to be World Snake Day, but, we'll never stay on topic very long.
Why would someone whirl a snake?
World Snake Day.
I'll just see myself at it.
Whirling the snake.
Send me a link.
It's like swinging the cat.
Well, it'd be like doing the helicopter, wouldn't it?
There's not enough room to whirl a snake in here.
I did the helicopter and got someone taped me, so I quit drinking. One of the reasons I quit drinking.
And that will be on next week's show.
Next week's topic, reasons I quit drinking.
Well, I've been trying to make friends, but I just can't get the DNA sequence right.
I made a friend, but then the police came around with all sorts of awkward questions about where did I get the parts from.
Oh, jeepers.
People can't see that at the moment, Randolph. So.
No, I know, but...
no, speaking of helicopters, that's what I just
that's what you got, yeah.
Yeah, he evolved into a helicopter. That's, if you watch it's only about 30 seconds or less. Maybe not even long.
No, I looked down and I was like, is that crazy guy trying to join? That kind of scared me for a second.
Yeah,
I was like,
I couldn't even hear anything. I think Ken Holden.
Oh, he's just coughing away, and then he turns into a helicopter. It's really
actually
funny.
They might be able to see that if you want to play it. It'll show up as a person in our group. So
Ken needs to turn his shirt down. It's too loud.
Well, your audience can hear it, but you cut it off halfway through.
Oh, we'll drop it back out. I think they can.
There you go. Yeah, good old Ken Hovind. It's very short. Yeah.
Ken Hovind.
I find Ken Hovind to be the most dishonest man on the internet.
Yeah. He looks like he shouldn't be around kids, and I said it.
How would you compare him with Ray Comfort, Dog?
Mastery?
I'll say it, yeah, but he calls himself, he's got a doctorate in paleontology, yet he thinks dinosaurs were 6,000 years ago. He's got kids riding dinosaurs in this dino park.
And drowning in his lake.
It's all about the money with him, and yeah, he is very, very dishonest.
Yeah, but somebody just yesterday was talking to me about, so what is it? You're better than Kent Hovind. I said, no, not in many things. I think he's better at tax evasion than I am.
Yeah.
So, I said like about 10 minutes ago that I'm hungry, so I'm going to go. This goodbye took a lot longer than I thought
It did. We got sidetracked. It always does.
I'll see you evil geniuses later.
Thank you, Kate. Bye. Kitty, what have you got happening?
50 minutes.
Not much. I recorded some crappy footage of sewing something, and I just need to splice it all together. Like, it was recorded on my phone, so it's not going to be great, but eventually I'll get that up there.
When can we look forward to the footage of the new sewing machine?
I'm hoping I can order it tomorrow. I'm waiting for the last of the money to clear, and as soon as it does, then...
Yes.
So hopefully I will be able to sew on it by next week's Thursday show. I'm hoping I can order it tomorrow or Saturday.
So the first footage of it for anyone to see might be in next week's What the Fuck show.
Congratulations, Kitty.
Brilliant.
I know, I'm so excited. You'll get a kick out of this, Randolph. A person donated the last 2/3 that I needed. So they donated $666.
Wow.
And that made my heart like pitter-patter because of the amount. But also
hilarious.
because like it was a lot of money for one person to donate. But also they specifically did that amount, and that just made my little black heart pitter-patter with delight.
It would be only fitting for the new machine.
I'm going to have to literally do an embroidery of 666 just cause, with like an upside down pentagram and everything. I'm going to do some satanic embroidery in honor of that person because I've
got just the right image for you to base it on, Kitty. I'll send it to you in Twitter.
Yes,
awesome.
Please do.
And I think you'll.
Sorry, I died on Mario.
All right. Well, whilst you're there, Will, what have you got coming up?
Every Wednesday, Maddie from Science Side Up, Sam Chaos, and myself have Pub Religion on Sam Chaos's channel. Check that out. Every Thursday, we do something and we judge people. Check all of us out.
Links are now in the description.
Yeah, so, as I always say, rock out with your clock out.
Kitty, check your Twitter. I just sent it to you. I think you'll see it's just right. It's a good one to base it on.
Okay.
And thank you to Junie for shilling. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Junie. You're amazing. We love you.
Absolutely.
For me, later on today or tomorrow morning for you guys in the US, I'm me and a few other women are taking over Six Pack, and we're having ladies' night. The guests for that will be Jaded Atheist, Catherine, whose surname I cannot remember, who's an ex-pastor, Claire, who was in the chat earlier, Claire Bear, Sam Chaos is joining us, and also somebody who some people in here would not like to see, but she is joining us, and that's Cheshire Vic. Will also be on that stream, so it should be a lot of fun. It's going to be kept to the irreverent stuff that we want to talk about, and not other issues in the community. So if you think you could come on, and if you think you can hop in the chat and get Chesh to talk about anything else that's happening, I will jump on it from that, because we're not going to talk about those other things. And then on,
I don't know what they are.
No one knows what they are because I'm not mentioning them. And then on Saturday evening, Matt and I have a special guest on Schrodinger's Bathtub, where an astrobiologist, and we will end up talking about aliens, because how can you not talk about aliens when you've got an astrobiologist on? Cool. That'll be pretty awesome. So that's Saturday evening Australia time, Saturday morning in the US. It'll be a bit later than some of our other shows, and I'm not exactly sure how much later because I haven't talked to Matt about it yet. But because she's in the same time zone as Will is, so she's 14 hours behind, we kind of have to start a bit later so that she's not having to get up at like 3 o'clock in the morning to join the stream. So the stream will be starting a little bit later, but I have to talk with Matt because it'll be very late for him if we start a bit later. But it should be a lot of fun. And if you've got questions for somebody who is an astrobiologist who will be there to be able to answer your questions about what aliens might be like, hop into the chat and throw us some questions. It's always a lot of fun.
Tardigrades.
Tardigrades. Yeah, we'll talk about tardigrades. We will talk about all sorts of things. But it's going to be really interesting. Aside from that, next week's What the Fuck show. I have no idea what the topic's going to be next week. We never stick to them anyway. We'll figure it out. You'll know. Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Click the little bell so that you know when new shit's happening. And, all that stuff. And please go and subscribe to everybody who is in this. You guys in the chat are fucking amazing and I love you. And we'll see you on the next one. And please, whatever you do, go for it, kitty.
Don't choke on the selfie stick.
Can I just say that on Cheshire Vic's famous block list, I came second. I was second one to be blocked.
I was third at one point.
Quite proud of that, to be fair. I'm unblocked now, but I was blocked.
I got added to that one too.
Well, I questioned.
All right, I'm going to play the outro. Bye, everyone!